The Penguin season finale was great from start to finish. Well, mainly I have many issues with Sophia Falcone from episode 1 to episode 8. It seemed to me this was a spoiled Western woman with daddy issues writing a spoiled Western woman with daddy issues. And it became abundantly clear as Sophia was burning Carmine's clothes that this was going on. I think that Sophia Falcone is a Western feminist wet dream, but not mine. And I found her quite nauseating in this finale. And ultimately, they just made her look stupid. She could have killed Oz from the very first episode. She could have killed Oz in this episode. But instead, she came up with this plan to give the mother regression hypnosis. And I mean, that element of it was interesting because we find out that the mother always knew that Oz was responsible for his brother's deaths, her son's deaths, and she had pent-up frustration. She was going to have him killed by a gangster, but then young Oz convinces her that he's going to give her everything she ever dreamed of, and she spares his life. So it's a very compelling moment. So the elements of Oz in this series finale are fantastic, and they really work from beginning, middle, and end. I mean, the way he escapes Sophia's grip is a little bit unbelievable, but he does. Now, we've got to talk about Vic, a brilliantly played and written character. I kind of suspected they were going to kill him off. I'm not totally sure he's dead, but Mick, Oz throttled him to death. He's dead. I don't know. There's something in the back of my mind that thinks that maybe he's still slightly alive, that someone grabs him. And there's this Mr. Freeze theory, which I think it's probably not going to happen. But I've also had a theory about him being maybe Robin. What if Bruce Wayne finds him, helps him, raises him? I don't know. Look, Mick, he's dead. Mick, you're talking nonsense. But you totally get why Oz kills him. Because he's starting to like him. But if you think about it, maybe Oz was always going to kill Vic. If you remember how they met. And he was with these groups of thugs that were trying to steal his car or vandalize his car. I can't quite remember. And Oz was threatening him then. Oz treats everyone like a means to an end. It's quite clear he saw potential in this young man and decided to use him. And when he had no further use for him, he killed him. This is Oz in the comic books. This is a ruthless, backstabbing little weasel, and he proves it in this episode. Even with what he does to Sophia. He makes her believe that he's going to shoot her in the back, but he spares her. He decides to frame her for the Hangman murders all over again. It's clear that Matt Reeves has further plans for Sophia. Sophia could have been a brilliant character, and I'm sorry I'm standing alone with this. I don't think that she was. She was really well played by Christine Milioti. Milioti isn't the problem. Lauren LaFranc's ideas for Sophia Falcone are the problem. She could have been a really great character. She could have been a really great adversary for Oz. Ultimately, she wasn't, and she made her come across as really just a dumb, angry broad. And as I say, a Western feminist's wet dream, but there's a lot of flaws within her character. She just doesn't come across very smart in the end. And as I say, this woman just seems to be there to be the A to Z, the Oxford English Dictionary A to Z on how to write a Western feminist, a Western spoiled woman with daddy issues. And in the end, this is what Sophia's been reduced to. And it's a shame because I would have done it differently. I would have really showed the close friendship between Sophia and Oz, not in flashbacks, but I would have slowly built it up. Mid-season, he kills the brother. They slowly become enemies, and then they duke it out. I think that would have been more compelling because we didn't get enough of the kind of friendship, him being her chauffeur. We got it in flashbacks, which simply wasn't enough. I want to be clear. The Penguin is a brilliant limited series made by HBO, a company that puts small movies on the telly box. What does this really mean for the Batman 2 and this crime saga going forward? I don't really know what you do with Sophia. It's like you're going to have to squeeze her in somewhere. She gets a letter while she's back in Arkham from Selina Kyle, which is interesting. So they do the whole reveal that, they're half sisters. But again, if you've got Selina Kyle, why do you need Sophia Falcone? It's a little bit confusing, and I'll be very interested what they do. The problem the Batman 2 really has, that this segment of Oz's story, the Penguin, was supposed to be a part of the Batman 2, and I think someone went to him, look, we want you to do a limited series, a spin-off, and he decided to take a portion out of his movie and make it this series. And ultimately, how do you replace that? Now, Colin Farrell, who, no matter what IGN say that we were all watching for Sophia, I call BS on that. He said he's only going to be in about 5 or 6 scenes in the Batman 2. Ultimately, he would have had a lot more if this series' story arc was in that movie. So it'd be interesting how Matt Reeves replaces the element. That's why Oz isn't going to have so much to do in the Batman 2, because you've gone to all these efforts of building him up, and we only get him for 5 or 6 scenes of the sequel. It means he doesn't play a huge part in the movie. I appreciate seeing the bat signal in the end as well. Going back to Oz murdering Vic, it was a very compelling moment. You can't come with me. He starts throttling him. This kid looks up to him, and it's absolutely gripping and compelling. This is a beast of a villain because he doesn't think much of it. I mean, they make you think that Oz really likes this kid. He makes this kid believe he really likes him. But then he kills him. He takes the money from his wallet, throws the wallet away, I think if I remember rightly, leaves his body there. And that's it. Like nothing. Because this is what people are to Oz. So this is a brilliant iteration of the Penguin. He's a very grounded character, but this, as I repeat, is who he is in the comics. So that element, the Oz element, the Penguin element of this show is absolutely fantastic. But as far as I'm concerned, they wasted Sophia Falcone. So it's mostly it's a brilliant series finale. It's the way a season finale should be. It's climactic, it's epic, it drives you emotionally, seeing that flashback, seeing the mother having the regression hypnosis and having the revelation that she always knew that Oz was responsible for his brother's deaths, and how she was going to have him killed, and then Oz kind of wheedles his way out of being murdered. That's so Oswald Cobblepot. I will never understand why they changed the name from Oswald Cobblepot to Oz Cobb. I still think that's dumb. I'm going to give this series finale an 8 out of 10. No, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I'll give it a 4 out of 5, right? This is why. Because they totally bungled Sophia's character from start, middle, and end. I think the first 3 episodes she's quite good. And then episode 4, this series is all about justifying who she's going to become. So now, whoever she kills, whatever bad thing she does, they can say, well, it's the daddy's fault. It's the man's fault. This is what the structure of what her character was all about. And it's so see-through and it's transparent. So everyone can keep on standing and simping this woman. But at the end of the day, even Lauren LaFranc, the showrunner of the show, calling Sophia the best person, the hero of this story, which is total BS. But this is how these kind of people with this kind of ideology see women. Women should never be blaming for doing anything bad, committing a crime, Diverse groups should never be blamed for anything. This is the mentality we're living through, and they will inject this through any piece of entertainment, even the ones that are really good. But I will credit LaFranc. She mostly did a great job. She wrote this series finale, and apart from the bungling Sophia story, the Oz stuff was absolutely fantastic, and I'll give her credit for that. Obviously, Matt Reeves would have had a lot to do with what direction Oz was going to go in this series, and especially in this episode. I'll give the series, again, a 4 out of 5, a 9 out of 10. I think they kind of were running out of ideas mid-season. I think it became a bit stagnant mid-season. But apart from that, it's a really, really good comic book series, and they did a really good job. It was very funny watching James Gunn trying to jump on top of this finale and thanking everyone for it, then trying to plug his stuff. James, you are so transparent. You are so see-through. We will see how your DC stuff gets on. But I really, really did enjoy the season finale, the series finale of The Penguin.